Good morning. I got the 555 this morning. Oh dear. The title for today's talk is The Blowback from Authentic Communication. When I began doing videos every day, I promised myself and my audience that I would speak from my heart and be as authentic as I am able to be. I've kept that promise. Some people like that, others do not. For those who are used to media personnel being professional in their reporting, my style is a real shocker. I've done angry videos where I admitted having alcoholic drinks first, videos with no shirt on, videos where I openly revealed my weaknesses, expressed my doubts and fears, and shared personal details that make me blush, and videos where I've admitted I was wrong. I hope that I will keep finding the courage to stick to this pattern, because I believe it is the mark of integrity, whether talking about spiritual or political things, personal or public matters. Yes, I have pissed a lot of people off. That's the blowback from authentic communication. When I thought to do a video about that yesterday in the evening, I was thinking back over some of the recent and not so recent videos that I've done where I've had an exodus of people when I was talking about people's diet, pissing off vegans and vegetarians who believe that that's the only spiritual way to be, that you can't possibly be a meat eater and be spiritual, to talking about personal issues, revealing sexual preferences and things like that, sticking up for people's sexual choices as long as it's with consenting adults. I've done a lot of things, and I've gone out on a limb numerous times, taking positions that may not be the most popular position to take in certain circles, whether it's talking about fundamentalists of any religion, whether it's talking about political ideologues. No matter what faction or grouping of people that I might be touching the hot buttons on or with, I've pissed people off. But there's another side of that too. Yes, the blowback is pissing people off. The positive side is all the loving support that I've been given by so many people around the world. And without that loving support, I don't know if I would have been able to continue. If it wasn't for the fact that at least several hundred people a day watch my videos, whether it's 300 or 400 or whether it's even up into the thousands, the mere fact that people are paying attention and the mere fact that people are responding is an incentive to keep doing what I've been doing. And I plan very much to continue what I began in January 2011. Yeah, it's been over 3.5 years ago that I began. Of course, I was doing some videos before that, but not every day. It was only in January 2011 that I began doing them every day, because I didn't even own a webcam until January the 11th, 2011. And at that time, I still didn't know it was going to be every day. In any case, I want to talk about the importance of being real. Number one, we live in a world where people are not real, where people put on a facade and wear a happy face. In fact, wearing a happy face is almost a prerequisite for anyone who claims to be a positive mental attitude person. But what about a real mental attitude person, or an honest feeling person? One who doesn't throw away an emotion because it's been labeled bad. Yes, as I said in the blurb, I've done angry videos. I've done videos where I've been hurt and had a couple of drinks first. Not a lot, but I've done it a few times. I think this one, most recent one, where I did the second video in the same day, was the only one where I actually held up the glass, although I could be wrong. I don't remember doing that before, and it wasn't of glass, of course. It was a mason jar that showed still a little bit of screwdriver left in the bottom of it. And I admit such things. Why? Is it to get attention? Well, it does get attention. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is what I committed myself to doing, to being authentic, to not trying to paint a happy face or to always be wearing a smile. In fact, some of the pictures that that YouTube chose to be the pictures, which of course I rejected and would choose my own if they didn't look too flattering, were very unflattering indeed. Some of the gaping mouth open snapshots of my videos. I mean, I don't like some of those pictures. So in a sense, I do try to put the best image forward as far as the nicest picture. I don't want one that's totally unflattering, although some of the ones that I have allowed to go on have been unflattering. But I certainly don't change the content to please anybody. And it's because of the authenticity that the Red Dragon Society and perhaps Swiss Indo and others have reached out to me and asked me to be a mouthpiece. In fact, another dragon group, other than the Red Dragon people out of China, another group has reached out to me recently, and I'm still trying to figure out where they're coming from. They are not 3D, from what I understand. They're 5D, but people are reaching out to me, and I even got a video or an email a few days back from what was supposedly the White Dragon Society, but I can't find it. I wanted to share that with the ambassador, but I've been unable to locate which email it came in or where it was that I got it, because I have so many inboxes and stuff like that. It's really easy to get communication lost. It's just the way it is. But in any case, people reach out to me because they want an authentic voice, because people need an authentic voice. Does authentic mean someone that's always right? Well, as I said in the blurb, sometimes I've had to admit that I was wrong. I was wrong about Rusev, for example. I may have been wrong about Swiss Indo. There were certain things that I think I was wrong about Swiss Indo, but I still support Swiss Indo. And I still support the idea of restoring the republic, not only in the United States, but around the world, establishing real republics that are not corporate-controlled entities. And I've had people along the way want to control my videos and tell me what I can and cannot do. Well, I haven't gone along with that, because a press that is controlled is not a free press, obviously. It's a contradiction in terms. How can you control a reporter or somebody that's reporting on something, or even given a commentary or an opinion on something, if that's supposed to be free? If it's supposed to be free speech, they're my opinions. It doesn't mean that my opinions are always right. It doesn't mean that I always have the inside scoop and the best information. And sometimes I've believed things that I've been told that later I found out were not as true as I would have liked them to be, including many channeled messages. One of my early videos that caught a lot of attention that I was angry was about channeled entities, or entities being channeled by human beings, were lying to us. And I still believe, in many respects, some of the channeled messages are nothing but bold-faced lies or psyops. And I have to admit that there's a lot of information and disinformation out there, and sometimes I would like some of the disinformation to be true, like the arrest of high officials around the world. I'd like that to be true. I'd like that to be verifiable, because that would show, from my point of view, progress in changing the world. Because we're not going to create a world that works, certainly not one that works for everyone, unless we take out the people that do not want a world that works for everyone. They want a world where they can control everyone. Well, that's counterproductive to creating peace on earth. That's counterproductive to an evolving human society and culture. That's counterproductive and even unsustainable if we are to maintain a healthy planet. You cannot have the corporate idea, the corporate mindset of power and control and profit that's false profit. Because who's profiting if people are suffering? Who's profiting if the earth is being destroyed? Who's profiting if there's pollution being created? Who's profiting when they're poisoning our food and poisoning medicines and poisoning our groundwater supplies and poisoning our air and poisoning everything? Who's profiting? Only psychopathic, sociopathic, insane people could possibly perceive that as profit when it's to the detriment of everything that really matters. And these are some of the things that I've wanted to consider, and it's why I call myself the Paradox Man, because I will present some of the spiritual aspects that seem very positive and very uplifting. And you know what? Those are the ones that get the fewest views, by the way. The ones that get the most views are the ones that might be considered the most controversial, because I've not been afraid of controversial issues. So much of the spiritual community is apolitical. They don't want anything to do with politics at all. Well, politics is what unfortunately defines our day-to-day existence, because it's the politics that drive the economic structure. It's the politics that drive the corporate environment. It's the politics that produce the regulations that we're expected to obey and live by. And it's the politics that steal our rights. It's the politicians. It's the governments. It's the institutions that we're supposed to trust that are the ones that prove themselves most untrustworthy in doing the right thing. What is the right thing? Well, the right thing is to create a system that helps people become the best they can be. A system that encourages people to explore, to try new things, to challenge themselves, to go one step beyond their comfort zone, at least one step beyond, so that they can discover new ways of looking at things and new possibilities that they can bring into the world as realities. Because we live in a world, in a cosmos of unlimited potential. And whether we want to believe it or not, the only limitation to our individual potential is believing the lies. If we believe the lie that we are limited, that there is lack, if we believe the lie that someone else is our boss, and that we do not have authority to run our own lives according to the dictates of our own heart and conscience, well, then we're choosing the limitation. We're choosing not to step into the greatest power and the greatest enrichment and the greatest potential that we have within us. Now, I would encourage everyone to talk to whatever you call your higher self, whatever you call your spiritual master, whatever you call God. Talk to that entity or energy or whatever as if it's a conscious being, because it is conscious. Whether it's a being or not depends on your definition of being. But it is conscious because all that exists is consciousness. Now, we've turned off the consciousness of much of humanity. When I say we, I'm talking about we, the culture, we, the corporate structure, has turned off much of our awareness, much of our consciousness, much of our ability to perceive reality and to connect dots. We've turned that off because it's frightening to those that want to maintain control. But I invite you to ask to be helped Be willing to be helped, to open up your heart, to open up your mind, to open your eyes, and see what's actually going on in the world, so that you would realize that much of what we're being told in the mainstream media just cannot possibly be real, cannot possibly be true. If you look at it with any type of objectivity, you'd realize that. Of course, we look through filters all the time, that filters that we've been told are the truth, and that we're right, and that this perception is right. But does it produce polarization and people at each other's throat like I was with my son's friend the other night? There doesn't need to be that. We need, and I need, we all need to learn to be compassionate with each other, to learn to listen to someone that's expressing a different viewpoint with at least a tolerance. If we can't listen to people that present something different with love and compassion, at least with tolerance. Because if we can be tolerant of other ideas, we have a chance, we're at least giving ourselves a chance to be programmed differently, or to overcome the programming of the matrix, which I believe is what this awakening is all about. The shift is about changing our consciousness, changing our point of view. And those of us that are willing to challenge the status quo, as I am, are going to get blowback from the authentic communication of expressing a different idea, of expressing a raw emotion, of expressing the authenticity of whatever is going on in our lives, and saying, this is what's going on, and this is how it makes me feel. Expressing that, to me, is healing. And I'm willing to take the blowback from whoever wants to give the blowback, whether it's Mountain Mama or whether it's somebody else. I'm willing to take the blowback, because I know that without authenticity, without people being willing to be vulnerable, we will never discover the real strength of who we are, because we will only ever be the persona and not the real soul expressed individual. Thank you for listening, and have a beautiful day. Namaste.